Welcome to Caffeine Talk, a podcast where we talk about random but informational topics over a nice cup of coffee to jumpstart our day. Hello everyone and welcome to our first ever podcast. I'm your host Sylvia Zhu and this is Caffeine Talks. So grab your cup of coffee and maybe a breakfast sandwich and join me for today's discussion. Today we're going to be talking about two topics that you may be familiar with but are also psychology related. These two topics are sleep and attention. So let's talk about sleep first. I chose this first topic purely out of interest. I have a lot of trouble with sleep myself. I find it hard to have a good sleeping schedule, and when I do try to sleep early, I find it hard to actually fall asleep. I'm also curious as to what sleep does for our body and how not getting enough of it can affect us negatively. So let's get into it. I mean, we all know what sleep is. We do it every day and to rest our bodies and prepare for the next day. But what exactly is sleep? Sleep is a natural state of rest our body goes into where our consciousness and muscle activity are reduced. Sleep also helps our bodies repair and restore itself. There are also different stages of sleep that occur, and in each stage there are distinct patterns of brain activity. So the first stage of sleep is shallow sleep. During this stage, it's pretty easy for us to wake up and still have some awareness of what is going on in the outside world. The next stage is light sleep. This is where our heart rate slows down and our body temperature begins to drop. Stages 3 and 4 is deeper sleep. In this stage, when we wake up, we are likely to be disorientated and sluggish. Lastly, there is REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement sleep. This is where our brain activity is the most similar to when we are awake and our eyes are actually moved rapidly back and forth. However, our muscles are still relaxed and reduced in consciousness. We go through these sleep stages each sleep cycle, and on average, each sleep cycle lasts about 90 to 110 minutes. So, also on average, we should get about 3 to 5 interval of REM sleep per night. Now we're going to go into how sleep is related to the science of psychology. Well, to start off, psychology is the study of the mind and behavior. So sleep is related to psychology as it can impact the way we behave emotionally and the health of our minds. Depending on how much sleep we get, when we are not getting enough sleep, we are more likely to have problems with regulating our emotions, paying attention, learning, and also lose motivation. Most of these problems have to do with cognitive functions. Cognitive functions refers to the mental processes that allows us to retrieve, process, and store information. So things like memory, reasoning, and attention. There is also a relationship between sleep and clinical psychology. For those that don't know, clinical psychology focuses on treating and preventing mental disorders and emotional or behavioral problems. Since sleep has a great impact on our minds, sleeping disorders can significantly affect our mental health and behavior as well. Now let's talk about attention. I chose this topic because I feel like it would be helpful for me in both my personal and professional future. I find it really hard for me to pay attention to things like lectures, readings, and doing homework because I get distracted so easily. This results in me taking hours to finish my homework or having to go back to lecture slides or recordings just to hear my professors explain concepts again. So learning more about attention and how to focus my attention effectively without distractions can significantly help me learn easier and more efficiently in the future. So what exactly is attention? Attention prepares us to take in information from our environment and respond to it. It also allows us to prioritize relevant information going on in our environment and ignore distractions. There are actually different types of attention. The first type is sustained attention, which is where we focus on something for a significant amount of time. For example, studying for hours, reading a book, or things like that. The second type is divided attention. This is where we can concentrate on more than one thing at a time. So when we are multitasking, we are able to focus our attention on 2 things at a time. The third type of attention is selective attention. This is where we only focus on specific and relevant parts of an experience. Lastly, there is executive attention. where we are able to direct our attention based on the priorities and goals we have. So how can we build our attention? The first way is pre-commitment. This is finding something that will make you finish the task. So one way you can do this is by eliminating possible tasks that you may want to do. So things like blocking websites on your computer or turning off your phone. Next thing you can do is write down what is distracting you when doing a task. This way you are externalizing your distractions by taking them out of your mind and putting it on a piece of paper. Lastly, try to eliminate potential distractions that may occur in your environment. So like finding a quiet place to study where your friends won't be, or telling your friends not to bother you, or putting your phone on do not disturb. Now we're going to go into how attention is related to the science of psychology. Attention can relate to cognitive psychology. Cognitive psychology focuses on how we acquire knowledge and how our brain processes it. And attention is one of the ways we obtain information and knowledge. Attention can also be related to developmental psychology, as the attention of people can change as they age. Lastly, attention is connected to clinical psychology, as people can develop attentional disorders such as ADHD, which stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. And yep, so that is it for today's podcast. It was really fun discussing everything with you guys.